what's the worst kind of cheater? Let's just cut to the chase. Because growing up, I heard this thing over and over and over again, and I don't hear it so much anymore. But people used to always say, if my husband cheats on me, I'd rather him cheat with somebody by sleeping with them rather than connecting with them mentally or having an emotional affair. Emotional affair, that's what it is. So which one would you prefer? Would you prefer that they sleep with a person or have an emotional affair? So that is the thought process of many women when it comes to cheating. Growing up, I never understood that statement. I mean, point blank and the period. I truly never understood that statement because I always thought if a guy cheats on you physically with somebody, to me, that is the worst thing that he could do. And I just didn't understand the mental connection because I felt like if you are in the workplace or you're making friends with somebody or somebody's part of your social group and all you do is talk and you connect and you ha ha ha, but you never sleep with a person, I had a so what, who cares kind of attitude about that. Let's layer that thought. So he makes an emotional connection with someone, whatever that is, right? And then they end up sleeping together. I guess that for me would be more of the danger of him making an emotional connection. If he makes an emotional connection and he never sleeps with the woman, is that really cheating? How can you hard and fast convince me or anybody else that the person cheated unless they're texting each other all night? So I get it. I think the most difficult thing would be if he has a connection with somebody that fires on all cylinders. To me, that's the most dangerous connection. That's the most dangerous form of cheating. Because if he's sleeping with people for sport, if he's just sleeping around and that's his thing, well, that's equally painful, hurtful, devastating. Nobody's going into a marriage with that type of agreement. So some men cheat for sport. So I'm going to contradict myself. And you're going to say, you are going against what you said, because you said an emotional relationship with somebody. So what? Who cares? But the fact is, when a man connects with a woman on multiple levels, he's physically attracted to her. He's attracted to her emotionally, spiritually. They have depth to their relationship. There's humor. There's intellectual discussions. They are twin flames. Now we're in trouble. A twin flame. A twin flame is often described as a deep spiritual connection between two people who are believed to be two halves of the same soul. Unlike soulmates, who are thought to complement each other, twin flames are seen as mirrors, reflecting each other's strengths and weaknesses. This intense bond can lead to personal growth, transformation, and sometimes tumultuous experiences as both individuals confront their inner truths. The concept suggests that twin flames are destined to meet in order to fulfill a higher purpose or spiritual mission together. Take this up another level, the one. So some people say you can only have one soulmate, and they believe that's it. A lot of people will fight that notion, probably especially men, but just people in general will say that's not logical, that you can only have one soulmate. You can have more than the one, but how difficult is it to find the one? You can find somebody who meets 7 out of 10 things on your list. They meet the list, but there's something missing. You're lacking in chemistry. There could be somebody that you have chemistry with, but they're lacking on the list. Like you're not physically attracted. There's just, you got these things. And so then you finally find a way to get the round peg into the round, whatever you say. And you say, you know what? that I'm falling for this person enough that this can work. Because finding the one, and sometimes when people find the one, it's so intense that they can't even make it work. And so they find a person that there's peace, there's harmony, there's enough attraction, there's enough something to make this thing work. There's enough attraction, and we're just gonna go with this. But finding the one, even though people say you can have more than the one, how many people have actually fallen deeply, madly in love? There are a lot of people on earth who will never experience that. They love the person, they're in love, or they fall, but deeply, crazy, madly in love. I personally find that really difficult to do. I think I have fallen in love twice, and the first time was instant. The second time took some time, and it was shocking. Like, wait, what's going on? What's happening here? So that, my friend, to me, is the worst type of cheating that can occur. So I said it, I put it out there. The worst kind of cheating is when the two people, both of them, fall madly, deeply, passionately in love. Twin flame, soulmate, the one. You got all of those things. Let's say a man has an ideal woman in his head that he just always felt in his soul. Like, that's my ideal woman right there. And he gets married, years later. Not that he's ever totally met that person, but he has that person in the back of his mind. Let's say he's been married for like 10, 12 years, and bam, he meets that woman that is in his total fantasy. Now we're in trouble. That's the worst kind of cheating. The worst. Because here's the thing. On one hand, I would say the worst kind of cheating is the man who cheats for sports. It's almost like he's got this spirit that's just hopped on him, and that's just more and more that hop on, because he's just sort of a perfect candidate for that sort of thing. And before you know it, he's cheated with hundreds, if not thousands, of women. Gross, disgusting. That's probably the worst type of cheater per se. The one that cheats for sport, because he has no feeling. He's not going to have as much of caring. He's probably going to be distant from his wife because he doesn't care. Like, he's not emotionally connected to, this is what this feels like when someone does it to you. But he's not going to be connected to the hurt of it, because for him, it's just jumping in the bed. No big deal. I don't feel nothing for this woman. I'm just doing this because this is what I like to do. And there is no emotional connection. I think that's a terrible, awful, horrible type of person who needs a ton of therapy. Don't get married. Let everybody know this is what you're doing, at least. And leave those kind of guys or girls alone, because they're gonna do nothing but damage and hurt and all that stuff. They're just super horrible, bad candidate. But the problem with, if two people outside of marriage fall deeply, passionately, the emotional connection is so out of control and so deep, and there's so much chemistry, and it's so difficult for them to resist each other. Now we got a major problem, because let's say a man is cheating on a woman and he just kind of is a bit of a dog, but he's not feeling that deeply for the woman. Then he's probably not going to leave his marriage for that woman. Not that you don't want him to leave the marriage because he's cheating. So, but a lot of times women won't leave a man even though he's cheating on them and they know it. But he may not be as into her. Like, it's just fun. Like, it's just a fling. It's just a, hey, there's some level of chemistry there. But here's a message to ladies who have a man who has cheated on them. And this is probably not going to make you feel better. It's could potentially make you feel worse. So here's the deal. So sometimes when we think of men cheating, we think, some people say all men are dogs. That's not true. But they'll say, all men, they just all cheat. So that's not a reason for me to divorce somebody because they all do it or most of them do it. But the other side to that I think a lot of women don't know is that two people can truly fall madly in love with each other without trying, without seeking it out, without looking for it. It just happens. It has nothing to do with how amazing you are, how beautiful you are, how friendly, how fun, how much dedication you have to your marriage, the best wife you've been that. It has nothing to do with that. It's that he has gone out and found his twin flame. Even if you're his twin flame, he has found another one. Or, unfortunately, you may never have been his twin flame. I hate to say that because that's so painful and terrible to say. But I'm just trying to speak some truth here so that you know what you're dealing with. Sometimes the guy meets somebody and he falls deeply, madly. Both of them accidentally fall deeply, madly in love with each other, because falling in love, like in the truest sense, is involuntary. When they're ruminating, they can't stop thinking about each other. They can't get each other off their minds. There's strong chemistry. There's a longing. It's almost like a need. It's something they're not trying to do. If anything else, they're trying to fight against that. And I think anytime your person is around someone a lot, like at work, for example, that's a breeding ground for cheating. It can be because you're exposed to somebody over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And so maybe they initially are like, oh, that person's married, they're off limits, even though I'm very physically attracted to them. I'm not going for that. And the more they get to know each other, the more they problem solve, the more they work together and figure things out. Like, it just grows and grows and grows. And then the next thing you know, they're actually falling in love with each other. And I don't know what you do about that, honestly, because some people will say, put on more lipstick, put on more eyeshadow, get some eyelash extensions, change your dress style, do something different, be more seductive, be more attentive, cook him more dinners, sit beside him every day, read together, play games together, go on dates once a week. That is not, that has nothing to do sometimes with the most horrible cheating scenario. Has nothing to do with that. Like, there's nothing you can do to prevent it. There's just nothing you can do except for hope that the two people can not fall in love. Hopefully they could switch jobs, or they can figure out a way to get away from each other as a protective mechanism. That's the only thing they can do. You would have to hope that both people could be strong enough to put some boundaries in place and really stick by it. But it's that involuntary thing, that pesky thing, that biological chemistry, that subconscious. The subconscious is different from what the conscience can control. Conscious is what I say, hey, I am very, very aware of all of this. The subconscious is a very strong, powerful entity. It's looking to right rights, correct wrongs, heal past things, past losses, make those connections that go beyond the list. I want him to be this height, and I want him to be this skin tone. I want him to have blonde hair. I want blue eyes. I want black hair. It goes beyond that. It's a piece that isn't, you're not fully in control of. It's kind of like wanting that delectable, rich piece of chocolate cake and coffee that's calling your name. And no matter how hard you resist, no matter how hard you say no to it, the next thing you know, you're in the refrigerator, you got that leftover piece of chocolate cake that you put in the refrigerator, and now you're eating it. And it is so satisfying. And that's what happens sometimes. So the good part about that is it's not you, which I know doesn't help. It ain't you. There ain't nothing that you did wrong. So trying to change yourself into a quote unquote better person, or women love to go down that road of, well, I did this and I didn't talk to him enough, or I didn't clean up enough, or he said that I was too messy, or I didn't dress up when I was at home. It has nothing to do with that. It's kind of not preventable. And forgive me if I'm sounding arrogant or flippant, because that is not the goal at all. The goal is to pinpoint an issue so that you or somebody else can figure out a different approach or come to new understanding or find healing. Because it's sort of like certain topics are taboo, right? That unless you are in that situation, you sort of have no right to talk about it. Let's say you're not Asian American, and you have to be very aware and culturally sensitive to the things that you say. You almost don't have privy to it. And so people who are actually having affairs, they are not privy almost to tell you the scoop, like the real deal. Unless you are a therapist, which I'm a counselor, and you are privy to people's inner darkest, deepest, you may not ever understand the truth. And the truth is that these two people did not set out to fall in love with each other. It wasn't that she's just this low down, dirty, I want your man. Although there are some women who don't give a care because they are desperate, they are lonely, and they don't care. They don't have a strong moral compass. They just want the longingness to end. And so it's like, I'll take your man because I want somebody to. We're not talking about the less conscientious people. We're talking about people who find themselves, who are morally virtuous. There are people who say, I would never cheat. Never, never, never under any circumstances. And I would argue with that person is because you have not come across the right person or the right situation. Because I think any and everyone could be tempted to cheat under the right circumstance. I mean, I hate to say that, but there are some people who morally, ethically would absolutely 1000%, even if they had the best carrot dangled in front of them, They would not take a bite. They just would not do that. So, of course, there are people who fall in that category. But I would say the majority of people, sometimes you could have a very morally, ethically great guy who is very attractive to most women. Most women find that man supremely attractive, and yet he never ever cheats on his wife. In order for him to find someone that he would actually cheat with, think about the stakes. Think about the type of woman that would have to be if he is very morally and ethically driven. I mean, this dude has the personality, he's got the body, he's a whole package. He would have to find the whole package in order to cheat. Yeah, he gets flirted with a lot. Yeah, he gets hit on a lot. Yeah, there are a lot of women who come at him or not because they feel like I could never, like, that guy would never want me because I'm just so not on his level. So those people don't even try, right? But let's say he comes across somebody that fires on all syllables. Let's say there's a woman who is considered highly attractive. She's got a very attractive personality. She understands people. She's got the looks. People are drawn to her. She has a seductive spirit on her. She might say the same thing. I will never ever cheat. I will never ever do that. Maybe she's had a difficult time finding the right guy because she's been treated quite well. Like, oh, you're so pretty. Or she finds men falling for her, but they just don't have enough of that something. She's looking for that unspoken chemistry. So somebody could check all the boxes, but they don't have all the chemistry. Or there could be somebody that she's connecting with, but she's not attracted to him. He's shorter than her. Or, I mean, not to sound shallow, because who cares in some instances when it comes to love? You want who you want and you like who you like, and all that stuff for a lot of people doesn't matter. But if you have a female with pretty privilege and she meets this man with pretty privilege, that might not be enough. But if they are connecting spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, there's a spiritual component that can occur also, where those two people are being brought together so that they can ruin each other's lives. I mean, and that's going really deep on a whole different level. But it's like you got two moral people who suddenly find themselves in a situation that is extremely difficult to resist. It's almost like they speak one conversation out loud and then they've got a whole different conversation that they're speaking and they're not saying a word. But it's so powerful, the chemistry, that it's really difficult to resist. They almost have to take turns running from each other, resisting each other, leaving earlier than, don't walk out together, just putting in these boundaries. But let's say they're helping each other all the time, or the guy is pouring into her. He's not even consciously, but also consciously treating her like a wife. Like, I'll do anything for you. I'm putting out all questions. All ambiguity is out the window. I'm making it clear. Like, I'm feeling you. And let's say these two people don't even hop in the bed. They don't even kiss. They don't do anything. See, there I go, contradicting my original statement, because there is a very strong emotional, unspoken chemistry that's happening. And the more they resist, the more powerful it becomes. And that's why I say it's the worst, because this is the type of guy who might actually leave his wife for this woman, leave his kids for this woman. Most men won't do that. But when there is a true soulmate, non-sexual connection that's happening, but the attraction is like crazy, we got a problem. So the question is, what do you do about it? Check out my book, Flip the Script on Love, if you need help with your love life or you want to enhance it and make it better. This book is going to bring you much joy. Also, if you're dealing with narcissistic people who cheat and do awful things because they really don't care about other people, then check out my book about narcissism, because it's going to help you understand and navigate those types of situations better. And then if you love Myers-Briggs personality types like I do, I've got a chapter for each one of the personality types, and I think you're going to enjoy reading each juicy chapter so much. So go take the Myers-Briggs personality test if you haven't already done so you can figure out your type. And give me a thumbs up if you want to see more cheating videos. And I'll see you on the next one, my lovelies. Bye.